we're aiming for. And we will be playing a game of Kahoot, Black Bruin Experience Kahoot specifically. So if you can go to kahoot.it, I'm going to put it in the chat. If you can go there, and then you're going to enter the game pin shown on the screen right now. And then you will enter your name when it asks for your name. All right, for those of you who are joining just now, we will be playing Kahoot. You want to go to kahoot.it. I'm going to put it in the chat again. And you want to enter the game pin that you see on the screen, and then enter your name when it asks for your name. Nice, we've got a lot of folks joining. Give it maybe a couple minutes just in case. Anyone having any troubles getting in, or? We'll give it another minute just in case. All right, let's start. Oh gosh, this music's so serious.
Which national Black Greek organization is at UCLA? Is it the Panhellenic Council? Is it the Divine Nine National Pan-Hellenic Council? Interfraternity Council? My bad. Multi-Interest Greek Council.
Nice. A lot of you got it right.
Great job. Next question. Okay. Kalima, the start, B, Stewart, Sella. Okay. Got some competition. All right. Next question. What graduation celebration happens in June? All People's African Graduation Ceremony, African Student Ceremony of Achievements, Black Student Graduation, Black Student Ceremony of Achievements. Which one is it? Oh, okay. Okay. That's pretty even across. Yeah, All People's African Graduation Ceremony. That is the correct answer. Yeah.
We also just call it AfriGrad.
Okay. Ooh, Kyle. Oh, first place. Mayoni, Daniel. Okay, we have some new competition coming in. People
I can't wait to see you all at AfroGrad in the very near future, because AfroGrad is so much fun. It's dope. And in person, we're looking forward to it being in person very soon.
It's the best graduation ceremony in my opinion. It is. It's fun. It's a turn up. So
Yes.
Who are some famous Black UCLA alumni? Ryan Coogler, Swati, Allison Felix, John Singleton, Tony Braxton, Anna Kanani Rose, Toni Morrison, Webb Du Bois, Ava DuVernay, Gabrielle Union, Russell Westbrook, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Issa Rae, Lupita. Oh my gosh. But yeah, the blue one is correct.
Good job.
We'll see you got it right.
You know what? I had to think about it for a second. I know the answers. I think we should also say that those of us that are on the committee are not playing, but like we had to like put together questions, and I had to think about this one for a second. I was, wait a minute. So
who is it?
those.
Yeah, the folks in red, they were alumni from USC, and then the folks in yellow are HBCU alumni, and then the folks in green are private college alumni.
Oh, wow. I didn't know Saweetie went to USC.
Yeah.
All right, it's reshuffling. Daniel, number 1. Okay. B. Stewart, Kalima. All right. Next question. Who gave an address on the UCLA Jan Steps? Was it Angela Davis, MLK, Robin Kelly, or Toni Morrison? It was MLK. I know it's confusing because Angela Davis taught at UCLA, but it was actually Martin Luther King Jr. There's a plaque there and everything. You can see it. It's pretty cool. All right, who was it? Who got that? Nice. Oh my gosh. Okay. Congrats, Kalima. You are now number 1.
Who attended Pasadena City College and transferred to UCLA? Is it Octavia Butler, Jackie Robinson, Lisa Leslie, or Malcolm X? Yep, that's Jackie Robinson, all right.
I also just want to add that Octavia Butler did attend PCC. She transferred to Cal State LA, but also did some work at UCLA Extension. So a little bit of a trick question, but just putting some context around it.
Okay, Layla's coming up, and then we see Kalima just like staying, and Mayoni's trying to come up too, trying to fight. All right, I see y'all.
UCLA Center for African American Studies is named after which Nobel Peace Prize winner? Arthur Ashe, Jackie Robinson, MLK, or Ralph J. Bunche? I feel like this one's not too difficult, but I don't want to speak too soon. Yep, it's Ralph J. Bunche. He was the first African American to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah, good job. Okay. All right, Kalima, Sharif, Ethan. Okay. All right. This is getting like, this is some stiff competition right now. It's getting tough.
Which UCLA African American Studies course was inspired by Jordan Peele's Get Out? Us, Sunken Place, Get Out, Sunken Place. Yeah, twice. Oh, yes, the yellow one, Sunken Place.
Joel?
And this is the next question. Yeah, I was just going to say that that course is actually taught by Professor Du. She teaches it every spring now. So it's once a year she teaches that course. So when you all get to UCLA, it's a dope course. And Jordan Peele actually came and visited the class while after I was a student. So I was high-key jealous. So just putting that out there.
Yeah, I think he visited twice or something. I was pissed because I was taking class at that time and I couldn't get in.
Which Black student support program at UCLA works to help Black transfer students? Oh, Ujima, Imani, Umoja, or Ojama. I hope I'm pronouncing those right. Yep.
Yay.
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 It's like they can't get this one wrong. Okay. Oh, Sharif, Kalima, Daniel. All right.
Which office is located in Kirkgoth? A, PU, BTU, BSU, or ASU? Yes, it is ASU. Yeah, it's a bit tricky.
I'm
Also,
sure.
oh, go ahead, Ariel.
No, go, Joel.
I was going to say trick question also because the Black Bruin the Black Bruin Resource Center, the BBRC, is actually located in Kirkhoff as well, which we'll have folks talking about that later on today. But it's brand new.
Yes, thank you, Joel. And yeah, I'm sure some of you are like, what are these halls or whatever? So these are some of our buildings that we're referencing. So like Kirkhoff Hall, and then Haynes, I believe, is where the Ralph J. Bunche Center for African American Studies is located. And then also our over at UCLA, our student union is called African Student Union, and it's with the K because it's to be inclusive of all of our diverse cultures and people across the diaspora. So obviously including those in like Caribbean, Latin area, and everything too.
Almost there, y'all.
Oh, okay. So which UCLA CCCP residential program is the African American / Black transfer webinar based off of? Afro Site, STP, Classic Site, or NPI? I feel like this might be obvious.
Ooh.
Okay, there you go. Oh,
Good
nice.
job, y'all.
All right, Kalima, staying strong.
What are 3 programs housed under the Ralph J. Bunche Center for African American Studies?
Ooh, good question.
Ooh.
Okay. We've got $1 Million Hood, the Black Policy Project, and Bunche Fellows Program. And again, folks from this particular program will be joining us later on during our resource fair, and I'm sure they will provide some more information, but all great research programs to participate in.
Yes, and then also those ones that are listed in green, those are from CPO, which is our Community Programs Office, and someone will be speaking from there as well.
All right, last but not least, also known as 4 North and located in Ruber Hall, what is the Black-centered floor called on UCLA's residential hill? African immersion, Black experience, African diaspora, or the POC floor? Nice. Yeah, it's African diaspora.
Sophie, do you mind explaining a little bit about it?
I thought, I don't know if Jewel wanted to, because
Or Joel?
I can do a brief explanation because I didn't have the opportunity to live on the Hill as a student. But the African diaspora floor is, so at UCLA, our residential buildings are, lovingly referred to as the Hill, because if you've ever been to UCLA's campus, and when you get to UCLA's campus, you will know that it is all hill. And so we call it the Hill. And it's where all of our students who choose to live in residential housing, most of students who decide to live in residential housing live, and they have floors, theme floors for students, and one of them is the African diaspora floor. A number of students choose to live there because it's culturally relevant. It's with people that look like them. It's with people who understand them, and there's no sort of what we were talking about and sort of having to explain ourselves. So that's basically the floor, and it's an option. It doesn't cost any more to live on that floor than any other sort of housing, but it's an opportunity for folks to be in community with one another. So yeah, congratulations to our first, second, and third place. We're really excited. So congratulations, Sharif and Kalima and Daniel. Loving it, and you all will get an opportunity to learn more. Our intention for this was just to give you some quick facts about UCLA in a fun way, because we know Zoom can be exhausting. So we definitely wanted to just give you all some information and get you all sort of plugged in a little bit more if you weren't already plugged in, and give you all some resources. At this point, we are going to transition, and let me turn my camera on. We are going to transition to our next part of the day, which is our student panel. So we have some dope panelists that'll be joining us. I'm super excited to be in community with these folks. Two of them you've already had an opportunity to engage with. One of them is someone who's just joining us for the first time today. But as we transition, we will go ahead and have them introduce themselves. I've had the privilege to work with them in several spaces, and so this is going to be a dope opportunity to hear from them and their experiences. We'll go ahead and start with Ethan. If you want to go ahead and we'll do introductions first, and then we'll jump into the questions. So Ethan, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, name, position in school, like, fifth year transfer, whatever, however you define that, community college you transferred from, and sort of your major, and a little bit about yourself, that'd be great. That's a lot, I know. So in any order.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Jewel. Well, it's an honor to be here with all of you guys. Center for Community College Partnership was definitely a highlight of my time in higher education. So this is really exciting to come back here and talk with you all. So my name is Ethan Anderson. I attended the summer 2019 Men of Color program. And I'm now an incoming senior at UCLA. And I transferred from a community college in the Bay Area called Diablo Valley College. We abbreviate it DVC. A little bit about myself. So at UCLA, I'm a research assistant for an English professor. And we're kind of, we're working with people actually from the Center for Community College Partnership. And we're trying to create a course that pairs UCLA English majors with community college students. And it's kind of like a mentorship program. It's in the very early stages right now, but I'm helping a professor build that. And so we're going to be doing that for my last year at UCLA. It's very exciting. I also am a part of the Departmental Honors Program. Each department at UCLA has one of their own. And in the English one, we basically we get to choose a thesis, and usually it's usually about a book, But mine is on The Souls of Black Folk by W.B. Du Bois. I saw his name was repped in the game we just played, so that's pretty cool. He's written probably more literature than most people. It's like an insane amount of literature, so it's a lot of fun diving in and researching about him. And I'm kind of focusing on like the era right after the Civil War, so that Reconstruction era in the South. And as far as after UCLA, I get this question a lot, whether or not I'm going to be a teacher or a professor. Jewel probably knows this question constantly pops up. I'm not. I'm actually going the law route. So I'm applying right now for law school. I decided right when I was applying to transfer to UCLA, I decided I also wanted to do law school. So that's kind of been what I've been working towards this summer. I was just a part of a program called Trials. If anybody else is interested in law, there's a fantastic program by Advantage Testing Foundation. And it basically, it's hosted by either NYU or Harvard. It's an insanely fun program. You get to meet the previous dean of Harvard, Martha Minow. You get to meet admission representatives, and you get to find out what they're looking for in an applicant. And it's a huge boost in both confidence and just letting you know sort of, what law is about, what it's like, and how to finance law, because that's a huge, financing your law degree is a huge conversation to have at some point. It's very expensive. So it's a great program, highly recommend it. I hope, Jewel, if you can, if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm more than happy to email back and forth with anyone about if you're interested, answer any questions you have. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. So thank you for this space, and it's awesome to speak with you guys.
Thank you, Ethan. Kalia, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kalia.
Or reintroduce yourself?
Oh, all right. You already know me. I was kidding. But my name is Kalia. I transferred from Sacramento City College with an associate's in mathematics, and I transferred here, and now I'm studying more math. A few things I'm doing right now at UCLA is that I was part of ACM, which is the Association for Computing Machinery and Computer Science Club. I'm also part of ASC, Alumni Scholars Club. And this past quarter, I want to say spring, I was doing an ASP internship, which is pretty much like a 2-unit class that introduced me to the Black experience at UCLA. And that is really a bit about me. Yeah.
Thank you. Sophie, if you wanted to do a reintroduction or elaborate on your introduction from earlier.
Yeah, so my name is Sophie. I transferred in from Pierce College in 2019 to UCLA. I did STP the summer 2018, I think. And oh my gosh, I suddenly forgot like everything about myself. I'm a triple CP scholar. I'm a triple CP peer advisor. I was a Ralph Bunche fellow because I just graduated. What else? I think that's about it. Yeah.
I think there's more, but I think there's more about each and every one of you, but you all are being very humble. So, and I know how it can be nerve-wracking when someone's like, talk about yourself and tell me all the things you're doing. So I appreciate all of you sharing what you're doing, what you've done, your transfer, how you got to UCLA. And so I think we'll just open it up with questions, right? And this space is really for us to be transparent and honest. As we all can imagine, there are goods and there are bads and there's in-betweens about being a Black student and being a Black student at a predominantly white institution, which most of the UCs are, but particularly at UCLA, which is the most applied to school in the country. So we're going to be talking about our experiences really about transferring, but also specifically transferring to an institution such as UCLA. And so feel free to I encourage you all and would ask you all to be honest and transparent with folks, to give them the real, but also, again, just being real about your experiences, the good, the bad, the in-between. So one of the first questions I have for you, and I will invite you to kind of answer it in the order in which you choose. So whoever wants to go first, basically, I don't want to pick. Is basically, this is my way of saying I don't want to pick anybody. But for, I think one of the first questions we have is what has been or what is a key moment in your transfer journey related to your racial identity? What's been a key moment to be in your transfer journey to being a black transfer, being a black student, whether at the community college or at once you transferred? Don't all go at once.
I would be down to answer this question. I think this is a really important question, and I'm going to go back to when I was at community college because we were having a problem with like racist graffiti on campus. And at the time, I was working as like a journalist for the school, and it kind of made me question, do I even belong here? Because a lot of the graffiti was basically geared towards African-American students and it was encouraging all kinds of horrible things. It was encouraging violence. And we had, when I started writing about it, I was amazed at how much support I had from other students, and it actually created like a student-wide walkout. And so it was just like this really interesting moment where I realized, even though like 1% of the school is African-American at my community college, we have a loud voice and we have a voice that matters, and we got the attention of our administrators, and they actually made a lot of changes to their hiring procedures and to their equity programs, their equity, this equity series that they had on campus. And so I think just highlighting that, shining light on it was a pretty crazy and wild and really valuable experience for me.
Thank you, Ethan. Sophie or Kalia?
I think for me, because I'm also passing and also just like mixed, my experience was always kind of fragmented in a way, and the community college I went to leaned a little bit more conservatively, I guess. It was in a way that like the representation was low and there wasn't a lot of like I don't know how to put it, but there wasn't a lot of diversity. So like for me, I think transferring in was a little bit more like when I got to UCLA, it was a little bit, that was kind of where the difference came to be, because I felt like when I got through Triple CP, I felt like often I had like such a complicated like identity, being like multiracial. So like just like FYI, my mother is half Korean, half Black, and my father is white. So often my identity doesn't come to anyone's like mind unless they ask me like, oh, you look so exotic, or like, what are you? Then it's like said, and then like that's always kind of been my experience racially. But I think coming to UCLA through like the Ralph Bunche Fellowship and through Triple CP, I think it was just like a nice understanding of like understanding that identity is complicated, and so you don't fit into boxes. People aren't just like one narrative. And specifically through RBF, my advisor, Dr. Streeter, that kind of for me helped me like in terms of my racial identity, because I think talking to someone who is also mixed and like understanding that in certain spaces you kind of don't like, you don't fit these boxes people want to put you into. Like, I don't know how to put it other than that. And I felt like with Triple CP, when I did STP, I'm gonna be real, in the back of my head, I'm like, are they gonna like think I'm not Black enough, or like it's so like dumb and irrational? But it was not the case. And I felt like, specifically with you, Jewel, when you were like, you belong here to everybody, it was just something like I felt like I needed to hear, because my like whole life I've had such a complicated identity. So that as well like gave me the power to go seek things out like RBF and work with professors like Dr. Streeter. So I would say that specifically in my transfer journey did a lot for me. It was really impactful.
Oh, yeah.
So like back in high school, like I felt ostracized. Like I was like usually the only Black person in my math classes. So yeah, I get like told a lot about certain things, about these things. So going into like community college, I actually thought about being a psych major just to like avoid that. But during my time in community college, while I was taking math classes, like that I was enjoying, the professors came by like, Leah, you should do this. Like, I don't know why you don't want to do this. And I felt that like in that process that I shouldn't like bend to like people's ideals per se from all that. And so I switched my major to math. And having those mentors, like my math professors and all the other like professors from STEM, they really showed me that like I should just really be who I am. Yeah, despite all that.
Sorry, messages are joys of working from home. Thank you all for sharing. I appreciate that and being transparent again and being honest and open about that. I think one of the really interesting things about the folks that are on this panel, and it just occurred to me as you all were talking, is that you all are individuals who are in majors that are predominantly white. White spaces, you know, Kalia, you being a STEM major, being a Black woman in a STEM major, Ethan being a Black male in the English department, which is traditionally both you and Sophie, right? Black male, Black female in English, an experience I resonate with myself. But you know, having that, and we started talking about it, and this is the question that's just coming to me, right? I have a whole list of prepared questions, but thank you all for giving me inspiration for these next coming questions. But you know, navigating those spaces, right? We've talked about it a little bit earlier in our earlier sessions about folks who are interested in majors that are not traditional, right? Not stuff that we typically see in our communities, right? The idea of being a writer, the idea of being a teacher, the idea of, you know, being an English major or a math major. So I don't know if anybody wants to speak to that wants to speak to that experience around navigating that, but also, you know, the question is navigating that, but also how to stay motivated in those spaces. And I know you've talked a little bit about it, but if anyone wants to expand on that.
I think it all matters in finding a community. Like when I first started community college, I was just like, I felt alone. I didn't know like who to link up with and like share these kind of things. But I want to say like my second half of my like community college career, I started like making more friends who like related to me in these kinds of experiences and finding like a stronger support group. And that really like helped me like with my last half of my community college into like transferring, and like gave me the confidence to just like go further. So yeah, that's all I can really say about that.
Sophie or Ethan, if you wanted to expand on that or add to it, I should say.
Sure. I would just add that, you know, I would echo the same sentiment. Like if you have a specific interest that you're passionate about, like in the English department, you know, there's a niche for all kinds of different genres and categories of writing. And so even if you don't necessarily look like the people that are in that specific group, if you have the same passionate and the same interest in this, in that area, it can bring you together. It can give you an opportunity, and it can open doors for you to like get to know people from all kinds of different walks of life. And as Jewel mentioned, like the English department is predominantly, you know, it's an extremely white space, and it's predominantly women in that space. And so it can be a little bit, you know, I wouldn't say, you know, it can be a little bit intimidating. It can make you feel isolated, especially with COVID. I think COVID increases that sense of isolation. But if you can find things within it, and for me, it was finding a thesis project and finding other people who want to get the most out of their degree, it can really, when you have that like similar interest, I find that to be really powerful and also exciting.
Yeah, I would echo that sentiment. I think for me, I had some really great professors in the English department as well. Ethan just mentioned a couple. Dr. Stefan, I had her, she's killer. Dr. Yarbrough, he was a guest speaker in another class and he was really amazing. So, you know, there's Dr. Mullen, there's Dr. Daguar, I'm saying his name right. He was really great. Introduced me to Zadie Smith. Just like, you know, I think the thing that motivates me also, like just kind of being in that space, is that like you can kind of change the way these classes are by who you are and your interests in certain literature, because not everything is like Shakespeare and Charles Dickens, right? Like there's other writers. So like I feel like I do see like some of it's trickling in with some of these professors, but I think also like, you know, you can be that change you see, you know, you can represent those authors and you can change the way the narrative is set up.
Thank you. Yeah, I jokingly always say people always ask me why I switched my major, and at the time I wasn't there wasn't that space. So I'm really excited that that space has grown. And people always ask me, to your point, Sophie, about not only being Charles Dickens and Shakespeare. We've had this conversation. I got sick of reading dead white poets. I'm just gonna call it a thing. Right. And that's why I switched over to gender studies, but I'm so glad that you all are continuing to stay in these spaces and create, you know, these spaces and build these spaces out. So thank you for the work that you're doing in those spaces and with your work and with your scholarship. I also wanted to ask, you know, why UCLA? I think that's the question, right? Why UCLA? And I'm going to start because y'all are all acting real timid and real humble with one another, which I love and appreciate, and not trying to talk over because Zoom is weird. Zoom can be weird that way, but I'll go with Kalia. So why UCLA?
It was cheaper than all the schools that accepted me.
I love it. I love it. Honesty and transparency. I love it. This is what this space is supposed to be. Do you want to talk a little bit about that in terms of, and don't be embarrassed by it. Say what you say, your piece. Why, you know, I think that you bring up a really good point around the cost, right? Because I think there's also a misconception around the cost of an institution like UCLA and it being, you know, the most applied to school in the country, the #1 public institution in the country. So I think maybe if you can talk a little bit about financial aid, because let's just keep a thing in our communities, that's real, right? That's real. Like, how are we going to afford college? For many of us, we're the first in our family, we're the ones navigating this experience. So if you can talk a little bit about, you know, having just recently done the process talking about finances and the cost of UCLA.
Okay, so like I just said, it was relatively cheaper than the other schools I got accepted to, and also like I liked their math program. It's really nice, really closely knit. What else? For finances, I just did like, you know, FAFSA. I also work and I applied to like many scholarships to help me afford to get to where I am today. Yeah.
Sophie or Ethan, if you want to talk a little bit about, I'm going to Sophie specifically because she's been a peer advisor in our programs for a very long time. So I am putting her on blast a little bit, but this is kind of what she's trained to do, right? To talk a little bit about like a little bit more about the finances of it, just in general.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think yeah, Kalia, like totally right. I think it's really funny because I really didn't know a lot about financial aid or how it worked, which I shouldn't be ashamed to say. Like it's sometimes I feel like things are made so that we don't know how they work. But I feel like that was something that definitely played a role. I didn't realize, y'all, UCLA has a lot of money, so don't feel bad. And there's a lot of scholarship opportunities here too as well. Like I remember, I think it was like the POC tour that we took at on the campus, like during STP, and they were talking about like all types of specific scholarships, and then they were talking about scholarships that like you have to physically go into the library and do. And I was just like really amazed by how much money that was there. So that was definitely like a huge player. And to be honest, personally, I didn't think I'd get into UCLA. I don't know why I had a weird kind of obsession with CSU Channel Islands. I just thought like, oh, I don't think I can do UCLA. I just like all that like imposter syndrome and doubt. And it was actually like a triple CP rep, Cherry Lay. She's not here anymore, but she found me on campus, and like I was just walking down like the mall, the main strip, and she just like grabbed me. Well, she didn't physically grab me, but she was like, "Hey, do you want to go to UCLA?" And I was like, "Oh," she didn't give me enough time to think. She just told me all about triple CP, and she's like, "Do it. You should do it. You should sign up. You should go." And that kind of being on UCLA's campus, that kind of like cemented it for me. But also through that, I learned more about the financial aspect. Like I really just thought like I couldn't get in. It's crazy expensive. Like I don't know, but they offer a good deal, so I was down.
Yeah. Did you want to talk a little bit more about like I don't know if this was a part of your answer, Sophie, but if you wanted to talk a little bit more about why UCLA, why specifically UCLA other than the finances?
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, it's a conversation.
It was commuting wise, it was like realistic for me as well. I specifically chose UCLA. I feel like it's because of like the history that it has, but also I really love reading a lot of like random stuff, and I read like Sleeping with the Dictionary by Harriet Mullen, who is currently teaching at UCLA, and I I guess like I didn't really know it was possible to have like those kind of professors who are like you're reading those books, and like it just felt really cool. Like I guess it's nerdy, but she felt like a celebrity to me. Um, and I really love poetry. I feel like I'm really bad at writing it, but I really love it. So when I saw that she was also there, and I was also like looking at just like some of the professors teaching there, um, felt like good. It felt like a good fit, if that makes sense. And I think also just like realistically, the commute and also the affordability, like financial aid, definitely helped me out there. So yeah.
Thank you, Sophie. Ethan, why UCLA?
It's kind of like the same reason. Like I received a bigger financial aid package from UCLA for some reason, and so that was kind of a plus. And I don't know if this is true, but a professor once told me, like, okay, Berkeley is one of like the earliest universities on the West Coast. And a professor told me once that when they were starting the plans for UCLA, a lot of the professors and admins went over to help the inception of UCLA, and they like all the problems that happened at Berkeley, they tried to correct at UCLA. Whether that's true or not, I attended a Berkeley program and the MOC program at UCLA, almost the same exact program. Obviously, MOC will forever be the best program I've ever been a part of, but they were very similar, just in what they were trying to accomplish. But the way they went about it, UCLA's Triple C program was incredible. The people who ran it were genuine. I love everybody in that program, and I just really, like Sophie said, I felt like more of a connection with the people, with the school, and it was kind of like more of an intuition thing. It wasn't like, I mean, the financial aid package was a plus, but I could have negotiated with Berkeley that financial aid package, but I felt more of a connection with UCLA. And I thought that just the way that everything was run felt really like a perfected version of Berkeley almost. And I think that it was kind of feeling based. I wouldn't say like, I mean, I know it's probably not the best thing to say, but not a lot of thought went into it. I was really just trying to see which one I felt more of a connection to, but so far it's been a good decision. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you all. And so talking about decisions, right? All of you, right? I know specifically have been students through COVID, been UCLA students through COVID. Some of you have had a minute on campus. Some of you had no time on campus. So if you can talk a little bit about what that experience has been like. I think the question is multi-layered, so feel free to answer it as you see fit and as you would like to. But I think really talking about what it's like being a student in general through COVID and how you've navigated that, but then more specifically being a student at UCLA through COVID and what that has been like. So I will open up the floor. And I know I'm asking some big questions here. So take a minute if you need to kind of process through that.
So I had a quarter on UC. Actually no, I think it was 2 quarters, and then like I just didn't have the last class. So I had like 2-ish quarters on campus, and I'm sure I don't know of any of you on your campuses, you're probably like that last time you're like, oh, 2 weeks, whatever, we'll stay home, and then it was like it felt like the rest of my life. So that was hard. I used to wake up like really early to get to school, and the commute like was forever to me if I was in traffic. And I was like, oh, okay, like I won't miss that. But honestly, I think midway through the next quarter, I was like, I would give anything to just sit in traffic for 3 hours. Yep. So that was kind of difficult. I think also some professors had kind of unrealistic expectations. Like they would be like, okay, have your camera on all the time, be in a place where no one is at, you know. So it was like, okay, but like, you know, some people can't be in a space where it's just them. And I think also like for me personally, it's like this, sometimes it's like this is your private space, you know, so you kind of just like want that to be your own. So in the beginning, I think that was kind of a little challenging for me. And I think also heavy amounts of imposter syndrome. A lot of professors like didn't do tests anymore because they're like, oh, it's online. And so in my mind, I was like, am I even really earning this degree right now? Like, am I even like good enough? Am I like, so that really was difficult. And I think also the quarantine, you have to like be inside. It was kind of hard. So that was a really kind of took a lot of a big toll on my mental health. But I think as time went on and we were kind of going outside and wearing masks, I was able to kind of like just try and get in like a daily exercise. And it was great. I just saw neighbors I'd never seen before in my life, and they were walking everywhere. They were just doing whatever they could to get outside. I remember one day some girl was just like laying on her front lawn, like she was just like trying to fight the depression. And so I think like that really helped me out a lot. But I think academically, for me, it was that imposter syndrome, and I like, you know, feeling like, did I really get this degree that I'm working on, or am I really doing well in this class, you know? That was really difficult.
Thank you, Sophie. Anyone else would like to add to that?
I think Sophie brings up a really good point. Like, but it was a little bit different for me since it was my first year at UCLA, but I did ask, like, am I even a UCLA student? So I don't even know, like, it felt like a mix of imposter syndrome, and then also like everything is online. Am I actually like a student here? Did I actually even get into the school that I've been working so hard to do? And I spent 4 years in community college. It was a long, arduous road to get to UCLA. And then the first year I'm finally there, it's like, oh, it's like you're kind of a student, but you're kind of not. It's like you get all the work that a normal UCLA student gets, but without the benefit of being face to face with your community members. So it was a really strange feeling. And then like on a personal level, I was moving around quite a bit during that year. So on top of it, you know, you're dealing with like real world issues. I think there's an element of when you're at UCLA, when you're at a university, I have a feeling that, you know, you're not as much dealing with like family issues on the immediate level. You still are dealing with it and it's still there, but you're not living in the same house as your family members. So it's a little bit different, at least, you know, for the time for each quarter. And so there was an added level of stress, an added level of responsibility that normally wouldn't be there. So I think the concept of navigating COVID is a great way to phrase it, because it really was like a new route that you're navigating. Like, I don't think any of us have been in this situation before. And so trying to get through, trying to accept that like I am still a UCLA student, trying to remain in the moment and really still get the most out of the first year was difficult, but it was still like a goal that I tried to accomplish. So I think it was a lot of it was a huge mental challenge, but I think that it was something that I'm really glad that we're almost out of it. I think that's the last thing I'll say, because I think we're going back to in-person classes or like half capacity or something. So to end this little rant on like a positive note, I'm glad that things are slowly moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Kalia, did you want to add to that?
So my first year was online, just like Ethan's. I felt like it was mostly lonely because like it was really hard to like cultivate like a community, friends and all that. And also because I'm really shy, I don't know if you noticed. Yeah, so I feel the first 2 quarters are like mostly lonely, really shy, really quiet. Nothing much was happening. It was hard to stay motivated to do classwork. And then I say spring quarter was like when I started to get out there a bit more, started reaching out, talking to professors more. And it was like a little easier to like talk to people, like go to office hours and all that. One huge thing that was jarring, I don't know, I think I talk about this often, was like the kind of work I do. So initially it's like for math, it's like computational, like addition and all that. But then now it's more like proofs, like you have to like explain everything with words about why this like is true, like argue with them. And I think that's really it for me. Yeah.
Thank you, Killian. We appreciate you being transparent and about your experiences and, you know, participating in the panel. Yeah, thank you. I think also there's a couple of questions, right? If you all can talk about your experience, right, in the transfer process, so the application process. There's a couple of questions that have come into me directly, so I want to address those about your application process, how you navigated that, any recommendations or tips that you might have for fellow students. And I think I will pick this time. I'll go in the opposite order. I'll go with Sophie first.
Yeah, I think, well, so I was a triple CP scholar, so I had, I relied heavily on my peer advisor, and every like meeting I think we had like before November was just like talking about actually it was during November as well, talking about my PIQs and going over that. I think like just having him look at it with me during the process, and then having my sister look at it, because she knows me really well, and I would suggest having like 3-ish editors, someone who knows you really well, someone who's like good with grammar and stuff, and then someone who doesn't know you at all. And so my sister would look over it and she'd be like, okay, you forgot to mention like all these other things you've done. And then my peer advisor would help me kind of like put it together. And then then I would like kind of like go over grammar and like go through it and like make sure everything was right. And then I think I had Cherry look at it last, and at the time she didn't know who I was. So she was able to kind of point everything out and just be like, oh, this is a little random. Like, I don't understand how you get from here to here. So that, like, to me, PIQs felt like the whole application to me. I don't know why. I don't know if that's the same with everyone else. That felt like the whole thing. So that kind of just like took over a lot of my times in terms of applying. And like having those editors really helped me out a lot. And then also, I forgot to mention, Jewel, you actually looked over like the first draft, and I had your notes still. So yeah, that helped out a lot. So yeah, thank you, Jewel.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. I'm a little. I wonder what I said.
Oh, it was all no, it was like all good feedback. Don't worry, you're good. It helped out a lot.
Ethan or Kalia, do you want to add to that? I mean, maybe you can talk about for sort of from the beginning to the end in terms of the application process. Maybe how you went into the application process feeling.
So me, I have like really bad like writing anxiety, so I started early. So I every day from like August 1st to like the last day, like November 30th, I just like chipped at it like a little bit at a time. So then at the last day, November 30th, I just like made like last refinements without like freaking out and panicking. So made the whole application process like easy and smooth. Yeah. As for like people looking at, yeah, art, it's really real for me. I would like cry. As for like people helping me out, I had my sister like revise my essays. Like I remember how she'll like give me like really angry lettering about like this and this, using words and all that. And that's about it with my application process, just like chipped at a tiny bit at a time. So to reduce my writing anxiety, have my sister revise it. Nothing much really.
I definitely felt writers or writing anxiety as well. For some, like I love writing, but for some reason, when I know there's a deadline, all of a sudden I like despise it. So that was something that I definitely had to contend with. But I think like, I think Sophie brings up a really good point. Having somebody that's, that's really close to you read your PIQs is important, but then also having like maybe one or two other people that are like a professor or somebody in the professional world, like in your somebody you might be close to in your work environment, or like a student you may kind of know from one of your classes, somebody that's not as close to you, and somebody that will be honest. Because like, yes, like if it's somebody really close to you, they like you. And so there's sometimes a chance that they may give you not as harsh feedback if you need it. And so but I still told everybody who read my PIQs, just destroy it, pretend it's not even from me. And so that really helped. And take advantage of resources, like take advantage of this time. Like you're in triple CP with amazing people that are here to help you and to kind of point you in the right direction. So if you have like an idea of, I don't know if that's going to be implemented into the program, but if you have an idea of some PIQs, or you've identified the mandatory ones, I think there's like one that's mandatory, one question that you have to answer. Maybe write a rough draft or something, or outline with somebody. But yeah, taking advantage of resources and having a group of people who you trust reading over your PIQs. And I too felt like that was almost the entire application. Like I'm doing law applications right now. There's like a million things. Like every law school has a different requirement. And there's like, addendas, personal statement, additional statements. It's like, it's completely different, but those PIQs are extremely important. So getting the people that you trust to read them and give you good feedback, I think is probably the best advice that I could give.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you all. And I didn't pay them to say anything about the starting early and the PIQs, but anyone who knows me, and you will get an opportunity to know me, and as Ariel mentioned in the chat, I am all about the PIQs. I feel like they are an opportunity for students to really demonstrate who they are and what they're bringing to the university. So starting early is super important. As full-time staff members, we're constantly talking about the fact that students students, we want them to start early so we can read them and give them feedback. So if you gain nothing else from this conversation about applications, start early, start the PIQs. And as CCP scholars, you all will have an opportunity to get that support and that feedback from your peer advisors, from us as full-time staff. So it will be incorporated into the question, into the program as we move forward into the academic year. Yeah, Ariel, I love that point in the chat. That's great. I got distracted by it, but it's so super important. So as we wrap up, so last question for you all, I think, what would be recommendations or advice that you would give to your prior self, right? A couple years ago, in navigating the transfer process, and for our students that are in the space now as Black transfer students, as Black students, what would be the advice that you would give yourself and to them?
I would say think about a little bit, like, don't stress out too much, but think about a little bit what you would like to do when you get to the university. And like, if you're into research, think about the research options there. If you're into internships, think about the internship options there. And for me personally, Rashawn said something earlier about his first year at university, where he was like, I was freaking out, just focusing on classes. That was me too. I just joined a club way late at UCLA, and I wish I had joined more and done a little bit more in my first year. So I would encourage you all to consider those things when you transfer to the university, or look at, what kind of options you might have at the universities you're interested in.
Thank you, Sophie.
I would say be nicer to yourself and relax more. Like during the time of like community college, I was just like crazy stressed and was like focusing on classes, like trying to be perfect so I could transfer. And I was like so caught up on doing that. And I felt like my community college experience wasn't bad, but I feel like it would have been more interesting if I like chilled out a bit more. Also, I would say jump into things once you transfer. Don't be shy. Don't be sitting down, oh, yeah, I'll do it later. I'll do it next year or next quarter, because like time will fly by fast. I'm like freaking out that like my last year here is like late next month. But yeah, that's like the main few things I would focus on, or tell my younger self that, hey, just chill out, but also like jump into things that interest you.
Thank you. Ethan?
So if I had to give advice to my past self, like when I was applying to the UC system, I was really focused on like mapping out my plan and like sticking to that plan. And there's a lot of ways in which that I benefited from that, but there's a lot of ways, there's a lot of other ways where I feel like I've missed out on certain things, and like I could have joined more clubs if I wasn't so focused on grades, if I wasn't so focused on the goal of like law school. So I think that I would tell my past self, like, be okay with your plan kind of evolving and changing into other things, and like be okay with exploring interests that aren't necessarily directly related to what you want to do, because like I think that first year, man, I felt like I was getting caught up and focusing so much on classes and grades, and plus it was online. So like, but yeah, just being okay with experimenting with your time, I think is what I would tell myself, and all of you, of course.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing space with us, for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge, and for, participating with our students and giving them some advice and some encouraging and affirmations about this process and your own experience. So incredibly grateful to each of you, so incredibly proud of each and every one of you and the work you're doing. Again, I said earlier, proud auntie over here. So I'm embracing that identity. So thank you so much for participating and being here, and just always supporting the work that CCP is doing and supporting Black transfers. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all. And if you're, again, Ethan, I think they have Sophie and Achilles' information, but if you're comfortable, Ethan, I encourage you to put your stuff in the chat if folks can reach out to you. So thank you. I am going to turn it over to, we are going to transition over to our next portion of the day. So I am going to go ahead and turn it over, and I'll be completely transparent. I don't remember who's doing this next section. I know what we're doing. I just don't know who's facilitating it. So we'll go ahead and transition over, and I will get those slides up.
Yeah, so Kalia and I are going to begin the resource fair, not research. There's some research opportunities there. Yeah, some really cool stuff. We have some folks here who have kindly donated their time to present their programs. All right, so we will be starting with AAP, and Dr. A is here to tell us a little bit about AAP. Dr. A?
Hi, good afternoon. First of all, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to participate in this resource fair. And I believe some of my colleagues and directors will be presenting as well. So I hope I don't repeat what I'm saying. And what I'm really going to do is just kind of give you a brief overview. And then, like I said, I think I saw them on the lineup that they will give some more information about AAP. But again, as it was mentioned, my name is Charles Alexander. I'm affectionately known as Dr. A, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I have a couple roles within the university, besides this, the director of AAP, which is the umbrella arm really for programs like CCCP and VIPS, which you'll hear about later. I also serve as Associate Vice Provost for Student Diversity in the Division of Undergraduate Education, and I'm a faculty member. I teach courses in public health within the Division of Public Health in the School of Dentistry, but also I teach in the Honors Collegium and African American Studies program. And so if you come to UCLA, if you are a student at UCLA, I certainly would welcome you to join me in my course. It's really a great course on ethnic and racial disparities in healthcare, looking at how come and why there's such distinct differences between communities of color as relates to health and health outcomes. And so that's your interest, and again, I welcome you. But I just want to briefly say, AAP's been around for 50 years, as you can tell by my background. We're getting ready to celebrate our 50th anniversary at UCLA. And in some respect, that's quite an achievement. You don't really see programs like this around for 50 years. Most of the programs like this are either on soft money or they've been given a grant, and they go away when those grant goes away or when the soft money dries up. But I can distinctly say that this is a UCLA commitment. This is a UC commitment, and it has to be put to last for 50 years, and hopefully it'll last for 50 more years. The program has over close to 5,000 students, undergraduates who are transfers and freshmen, and other students who join us throughout the year. We are what I call a program based upon social justice principles. So a lot of our students are really concerned about issues that go on in the community, both internally and externally. So we just don't focus in on UCLA, but we look at our own communities and where we come from. Where you might hear today people talk about research, and the research that they're involved in really stems from questions that they have about things that are operating in their community. And so research turns into what we call me-search, and you start looking at these issues from a real critical lens. And so which, a UCLA or Research One institution is all about, is looking at issues from a critical lens. But AAP also is an academic home for many of our students. We provide academic counseling, peer learning, which is a form of what I call instruction by peers. We also provide students with scholarships, particularly returning students. We have a scholarship fund where donors have given us a significant amount of money to give away each year, as well as some of our mentoring programs that help students plan the next level of their academic journey. You want to be a physician, you want to be a teacher, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a business person, or you just want to be someone with higher education, you're gaining a PhD and beyond. We are all about the business of helping you prepare for that next level, because we know that next level is not only a game changer for you, but a game changer for our community, and also a game changer for society. You begin to make an impact as an individual, as a leader, as a person that's a positive image that can influence and make decisions that impact other people like ourselves. And so we're all about that, training leaders for the next century. We also have well, if we were in person, we have a computer lab, or we call it computer lounge, where you can actually utilize the technology, but also where you can just hang out and be on your own laptop and doing your own business within that space. There are a host of other things that we do. We put on all kinds of workshops in terms of helping you succeed academically, or preparing for a career, or helping you get an internship or an externship somewhere. We also feature speakers. We have an annual talk we call the Winston C. Dobie lecture. Dr. Dobie was a vice chancellor and a vice president of UC, who made a tremendous impact on the university, not just UCLA, but UC-wide. He was a vice president at the time that he retired. But we honor his legacy through this lecture series, where we bring in distinguished speakers, and they speak about social justice issues, particularly those that Dr. Dobie was very passionate about. And so we do that annually. We've had some great speakers. I mean, I can talk about Hilda Solis, I can talk about Pedro Nagara, Arnold Mitchum, Dolores Huerta. I mean, there's been some really great people, and we're trying to line up a great person this year to be our Dobie speaker as well. So I'm just going to conclude by just saying, thank you again for allowing me to be in this space and to share with you information, some brief information about AAP. You can always email me. I'm in the directory. Us UCLA people, we're at a public place, so you can always go online and look at our directory and find our email addresses and ask us questions. But I want to just take my hat off to all of you transfer students who are pursuing higher education. I once worked at a community college in Wisconsin, so I know the challenges, but also I know the successes that you can achieve by taking advantage of higher education. And so we have, again, CCCP, a great partner, working with various community colleges within not only our district, but even across the state, and sometimes even across the nation. But again, I want to just take my hats off. Thank you for being here. Thank you for participating in this very informative session that is being offered to you today. And I wish you all the best, okay? So please keep in touch. I look forward to seeing you one day.
Thank you, Dr. Alexander. Next, we have Ms. Brianna Harvey.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Brianna Harvey. I am the program director for our Bruin Guardian Scholars Program, which is based in the UCLA Bruin Resource Center. I'm also one of the assistant directors for the Bruin Resource Center. So within the BRC, as we call it, we serve many specialized populations. And so one of those is foster youth, who I'll be talking about specifically today. But we do also serve student parents. We serve students that have been impacted by the criminal justice system. We serve students that are experiencing recovery or have had family members in recovery. So just know our resource center has a whole bunch of different resources that you can access. Like I said, today specifically, I'll be talking about our Bruin Guardian Scholars Program, which specifically supports those that have experienced or had been impacted by the child welfare system. And so we're extremely lucky that our program is one of the largest across the UC system. We've been around for about 11 years. We serve over 250 students at UCLA. There are about approximately 400 students, undergrad and graduate, that identify as current or former foster youth. So our program is what's called an open model program. So we really like to ensure that we're serving anyone that's been impacted in any way by child welfare. So that means that you could have spent a day or 2 days in the foster care system and, still been negatively impacted by that and had that impact your life. And so someone like that would still be eligible. We also serve individuals that maybe lived in guardianship care or kinship care, those that may have informally lived with a family member, like maybe you were raised by your grandmother or your aunt, as well as those that identify as accompanied minors or unaccompanied minors, and those that experience homelessness either 2 years before transferring to UCLA or 2 years after getting to UCLA. So it's a pretty expansive community. So there's a lot of people that could potentially be eligible. And our program is really just like a community space for you. So one of the things that we do is we really try to provide support to our students throughout the moment that they step onto UCLA's campus and support them all the way through. And so some of the things that we provide are like need-based financial scholarships. We ensure that our students have year-round and priority access to housing. So for example, when all the COVID stuff happened and all of the other students were asked to leave, our students got to stay. So we have had about 170 foster youth students living on campus since the very beginning of COVID. And our students were not asked to leave. They've been able to remain on campus. And so as a Guardian Scholar, you have guaranteed access to housing. There also is a housing guarantee for as long as you're at UCLA. So I know often for transfers, you only have a certain amount of time that you're able to live in UCLA housing. If you're a Guardian Scholar, that does not apply. So we have students that have been at UCLA for 4 years, for 5 years, and they're able to have housing for the remainder of the time that they're at UCLA. We also serve graduate students. And so for our graduate students, they're able to access some of the same resources, such as access to graduate housing, scholarships, things like that. Other stuff we provide is access to priority registration. So our students are able to register, I think like right after the athletes. And so they have a very high likelihood of being able to get the courses that they want to take. We also provide case management supports, mental health resources. We have a liaison within CAPS that our students can meet with directly. We host like different wellness groups, just in general, a lot of really close community building activities. We understand that navigating a school like UCLA can be difficult, but it can be especially difficult if you don't have the privilege of having a stable family and home environment. And so just know that if you are potentially eligible, Guardian Scholars can be kind of like a second home for you. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'll put my email in the chat. Please feel free to reach out and, add us on Instagram. We also have a lot more information on our website that talks all about eligibility, application, things like that. So please feel free to check us out.
Thank you. So next we have VIPS with Dr. Tunstall.
Hello, everyone. It is awesome to be here with you. As mentioned, my name is Dr. Tunstall. I am a proud UCLA alum. So I went to UCLA for my undergraduate degree. I received my BA in psychology and also went to UCLA for graduate school and received my PhD in education with a concentration in urban schooling. Similar to Dr. A, I wear several hats on campus. So one of those main hats is I'm the director of our VIP Scholars Program. So a lot of the work that CCCP does with community college students, we do with high school students. And specific to what you all are a part of today, we also work primarily with African-American students, and that's to create stronger pipelines between our high schools and our selective universities like UCLA for our students, but not only to provide them with information about how to get to college, but also opportunities to learn about social justice, to engage in their communities and be empowered to make changes, whether that's now as high school students or further in their college or their career aspirations. So we work with high schools in LA and Pasadena. We have undergraduate mentors that go back to the high schools that we work with. Many, it's the high schools that they themselves went to. And then we have a series of Saturday academies, summer programs, things for students and their parents and guardians that happen throughout the year. Check out our website. It has videos. If you have siblings at any of our partnering high schools and you want to get them involved in the program, or when you all become UCLA students, or for those who are, feel free to reach out to us about either mentoring opportunities or volunteer opportunities. And we also do research around higher education. In addition to the work that I do with VIP scholars, I'm also the director of our transfer summer program. So that's happening right now. We are in week 2. It's similar to summer bridge programs at other universities where students come to campus and they spend 7 weeks on the campus. So it includes an orientation week, and then it includes times taking classes. So it's a way to get a jump start on being a UCLA student, but not just taking summer classes. So it's not just summer school, but it's also a way for students to build community. So we hand select the instructors, the TAs, the tutors, which are called peer learning facilitators that are part of the program. We have peer counselors. We intentionally build community activities into the program. Many of students, when they talk about their experience in TSP, they say it's hard, but they also say that it's fun. They also say where they met their lifelong friends and their best friends or roommates or future spouses. So it is definitely a place to not only build and sharpen academic skills, but also to build a community that lasts throughout your time at UCLA and beyond. And then I also teach, similarly to Dr. A, within the African American Studies, but also in the education department. And so one of the main courses that I teach is called Sister to Sister. It's a course that focuses on the experiences of Black women across the diaspora, focusing from childhood really on into career and how it shapes how we exist and build community, mental health issues, and how we continue to thrive and take care of the community, but also the impact that that has on our own mental and physical health, and then microaggressions as it pertains to being both a Black person and a woman within higher education and within career. So that's a course that's offered to first year freshmen and transfers during winter quarter, and then spring quarter is offered to any years. And then I also teach other courses within African American Studies and education that I would love to have any of you a part of. I think that's all the hats. Yeah, I'm just gonna ask yes for you. I think that's it for now. All right, feel free to check out. I'm seeing all the different websites dropped into the chat, so feel free to check us out. Feel free to reach out. And it's just amazing to see events like this. It's good to see all of your pictures on your boxes. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia Palmer. I work as a supervisor of outreach and communications in the UCLA Financial Aid and Scholarships office. Thank you for having me here today. So essentially what our office offers is anything related to helping students access financial aid packages. So I've actually been in financial aid for about 6 years going on now. And I was a student there myself, so I can assure you that we are absolutely wonderful at doing what we do. But essentially what we offer students is federal, state, institutional aid. So if you ever have any questions about how to access a loan or what your grant is or how to get additional scholarships, we can provide you with those resources. We actually just launched, and I helped facilitate this launch of social media for the first time in our office. So we have an Instagram page, we have a Twitter, and we have a Facebook. Instagram is UCLA Financial Aid. Twitter is the only one that's a little different, and it's FinAid. But with regard to financial aid, right now we are operating mostly remotely. So you can give us a call, 1 to 4. We're going to be extending our hours soon. And then you can actually come into our office Monday through Thursday from 10 to 3. Small scale because of the pandemic, but you can ask us questions in person about anything about your award letter if you don't understand how to determine what your net cost will be, or if if you had a recent change in your family's income and you realize that maybe your financial aid application, so your FAFSA or your GMAC doesn't actually represent what your income is, your family's income is anymore. You can tell us that. We can help you create an appeal. That way we can give you a financial aid package that is more applicable to you, because we want to make sure at the end of the day that your financial aid isn't something that you're worried about. We understand that financial aid can be really daunting. And even as financial aid professionals who've been doing this for years, the regulations continue to change. So we are also continuing to be up to date with this information. So it's not your job to have that knowledge. It's just your job to make sure that you're advocating for yourself and you're asking us questions. Now, I really, really, really want to stress to you that it is absolutely okay to give us a call, to come and see us and say, hi, I'm a first generation student. I don't know anything about financial aid. Or, hi, this is my first time applying for financial aid. What do I do from here? I don't have any knowledge base. Or, hi, what are other students in my situation asking, right? Because it's true, you don't know what you don't know. And it's absolutely okay for you to ask us, hey, I'm on this playing field, so please make sure that you can help me, get to where I need to be. We want to make sure that we're being equitable, because we want to make sure that we are working with you wherever you're coming from. So please come talk to us. I promise you we are friendly. We just want to make sure that at the end of the day, financial aid is the backbone of your education, right? We want to make sure that you understand that attending UCLA or any institution really can be affordable, or it is affordable. We actually do offer one of the highest packages for institutional aid. So that's wonderful for the UC system. But yeah, I think that is all I'll say about financial aid. Thank you for having me.
All right, up next is Tabia from the Ralph J. Bunch Center for African American Studies.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And I want to do a quick shout out to Sophie. Hey, Sophie. It's good to see you. And it's really good to be here with you all this afternoon. Again, my name is Tabia Shao, and I am the Assistant Director for the Ralph J. Bunch Center for African American Studies. And I'm here to talk a little bit about the work that we do and some opportunities that we provide for the general campus community, but of course, specifically for our undergraduate students. And so just some quick facts about the Bunch Center. We were established in 1969 during the height of the student protests at UCLA. In 2003, we were renamed after the Nobel laureate and civil rights icon, Ralph J. Bunch. I guess at the core of who we are is our mission, and that is to support research that seeks to improve the conditions of Black life. And we do so from a very much an interdisciplinary perspective. So that means we support research from microbiology all the way to musicology. So any of those of you that have interests in subjects that I've mentioned and anything in between, we're here to provide that support. And so the ways that we do that, of course, is through our research initiatives, which include our flagship research initiative, $1 Million Hoods. We have our Black Policy Project, and the one in which I'll talk a little bit more in detail today about, which is the Bunch Fellows Program that Sophie was a part of this past academic year. And so the Bunch Fellows Program is an opportunity that provides undergraduate students with interest in research to strengthen those skills by working on a faculty-led research project throughout an entire academic year and into the summer. And so the incentive for that is to provide the skill set that will strengthen your applications for graduate school, as well as to provide you with an experience that many often don't get. And I am an example of that, and that is research, the ability to dive into the work and build a partnership and also a cohort with other scholars on campus. And so the incentive, of course, is that you get those research skills, but you also get a little bread. And so each of our undergraduate fellows get a $12,000 stipend that's dispersed throughout the academic year. That's $3,000 per quarter in the year, including summer term. Applications for the fellowship go out every January. In that time frame, I host a number of different information sessions that I invite students out and urge you to come to learn more about what the program is and have an opportunity to meet current or former Bunch fellows, like perhaps maybe Sophie. And then you have an opportunity to get some answers to questions you might have related to the application, which is quite simple. It's an application that's accessible online. We do ask for a letter of recommendation, and we understand that as transfer students, you may not have had the time to build a rapport with faculty to get those letters, but not to worry. We accept letters from your your community college professors, or anyone that's worked close with you that can speak to your skill set and why it is that a program such as Bunch Fellows would be something that would help you move forward in your academic career. And so if you're interested in it, I'm going to drop my contact information in the chat. I'll also drop the link to the Bunch Fellows program so you can take a look about what we've done and where we want to go. And then in addition to the fellowship, if you're looking for other funding opportunities, we offer 2 scholarships that go out every spring. That's the Densmore and Chiselmore scholarships. Those range from $1,500 to $3,000. And the application process, again, is something that we keep relatively simple. Although these processes are simple, we do note that, that they are quite competitive, but we do want to make such opportunities available for undergraduate students so that they can grow and flourish during their time at UCLA. And so with that, again, I'll drop my contact info and website information in the chat, and feel free to hit me up. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you. All right, so unfortunately, Nicole is not here with us right now. If she joins later, we're gonna have her share, but we're gonna move on to Dr. Ifoma Ama.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Dr. Ifoma Ama. I am a UCLA alumni, undergrad, AP alumni, and also I pursued my PhD at UCLA in education. I'm currently the director of peer learning, and I teach for the freshman summer program. So just to give you a little bit of context about peer learning, perhaps at your community colleges, you have a lot of tutoring and supplemental instructional opportunities for students. At UCLA, we use the term peer learning instead of tutoring, so you'll probably hear that a lot. And the purpose of peer learning, again, it's student-centered, but then also it's not, sometimes tutoring has a label of remedial, and we're not remedial, and we're not, as Dr. Tunstall said, tutors are called peer learning facilitators. So the peer learning facilitators the goal is not to just lead the session the whole time. The goal is to really interact and engage with your peers. So in the peer learning unit, we have about 140 student staff, and we offer peer learning sessions in math, sciences, humanities, and social sciences. And you basically get an opportunity to get additional support throughout the quarter. So you enroll your first week of the quarter, and then you have peer learning sessions from week two to finals week. And it occurs every quarter, including the summers. And we have an array of courses that you can have access to just to get that additional support and help. And especially, as well as if you want to be a peer learning facilitator, you have opportunities to apply throughout the year, but more importantly, especially during spring quarter for the following academic year. So that's just a little bit about peer learning. Welcome. We're excited to have you all.
Okay, next, now that we have UCLA Transfer Student Center, presented by Mo.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matraya Kimboyejo. I also go by Mo. I am a 4th year at UCLA. I am majoring in political science, minoring in labor studies. I do a couple of things on campus, but the main thing that I do is I am the mentorship program coordinator for the Transfer Student Center. We also call it the TSC. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about some of the resources that the TSC offers. The main mission of the Transfer Center is to provide transfer students with resources and programming that connects them to the university and supports them so that they can achieve their personal, academic, and professional goals as they progress through their educational journey. So some of the things that we provide for our transfer students start with guidance. You have access to professional staff and student staff like myself who can help answer questions and kind of just be like a clarifying soundboard. I know it can be really overwhelming when you transfer and you feel like you have so many questions and you don't know where to start. So we're the best place to start. I see the Transfer Center as the hub for all things transfer related. So if you don't know what resources you even need to get connected to, just come to us and we will either give you the resource or connect you to the appropriate one, because we have so many other UCLA campus partners that we can connect people with. So one of the biggest things that we do is just provide guidance for transfer students. We also have scholarship opportunities and financial support through transfer and veteran grants, economic crisis response team. Sorry, hold on. And through meal vouchers, which you can learn more about on our website. We also have a dedicated space at the Transfer Student Center, which we share with the Veterans Resource Center for studying, relaxing, and just overall meeting new students with shared experiences. You'll find that when you transfer, when you get into your classes or even in the dorms that you live in, that you're not really around that many transfer students. You might be the only one in your class or one of like 2 or 3, and it can get kind of disheartening or hard to really connect with the transfer community. So if you come to the Transfer Student Center, you'll always be in a space where you can meet other students, once again, ask us questions, get connected with resources. And it's just like a dedicated space where you're with other people who are going through some of the same things that you're going through. So go stop by the Transfer Center if you're ever on campus, and you'll see the atmosphere is really cool. We play music, we have snacks, and it's just a really comfortable space. And lastly, we have mentorship opportunities. I specifically work as a coordinator for our mentorship program. So basically, when you come in, you will be paired with a returning transfer student who is the same major as you, shares some of the same identities as you, has similar career ideas as you, and they will basically walk you through your first year at UCLA. You can meet with them as many times as you'd like to. Either you guys are going to be emailing, texting, meeting face to face. You kind of figure that out with whoever your mentor is, and they help you figure out what clubs to sign up for, what classes you should take. And they're basically just like a big brother or sister for you for that first year. I know that since I've been working with the mentorship program, a lot of students really find it really helpful. Like I said, it is overwhelming coming in as a transfer, switching from like semesters to quarters, or just like not knowing what to do, especially if you're a first gen student. So having somebody who literally just did this a year before you and is going to be taking, or has done some of the same classes that you're going to be taking, is really helpful. We also hold drop-in hours in the summertime. We're just doing it once a week right now on Fridays from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. You can come ask us questions, literally just talk to us, get to know us. I'll drop the link for our office hours in the chat. We also have our website where you can learn more information about the resources that we offer. We also offer resources specifically for prospective students, so I would definitely go look into that. And then also our Instagram and Facebook. We're really active on our social media, so if you ever want to ask us a question and you are not getting through to us on email, or you don't have time to drop in on our office hours, DM us, leave a comment on one of our pictures, and we'll get back to you. But thank you so much for the opportunity for me to share a little bit about the Transfer Center. I hope you guys get connected with us.
All right, up next we have Sociology with Dreama.
Yes, hi. So my name is Dreama Rhodes. I'm one of the advisors for the Sociology Department. We do have another advisor. Her name is Cindy Malanza. So if you have any questions, if you're interested in transferring into sociology, then you can contact either of us. So our website is posted in the chat. Most of the information that will be relevant to you would be under the Undergraduate Study tab. So our Sociology Department is relatively large. So we have about 1,600 to 1,700 undergraduate students in a large transfer population. So sociology is a common major for incoming transfers. And right now we're going through and doing the department meetings for incoming transfers during the orientation session. So we're pretty much just giving them all the information about our department. And this is available to you now also. So it's just on our website. We have a link for our undergraduate handbook under the undergraduate study tab. So if you want to just go through that, that's what we're reviewing with our the incoming transfer students and incoming first year. So it has all of the resources in our department, pretty much ways how to get in contact with us. We have drop-in hours during the summer. We will also continue drop-in hours during the academic year as well. Some of the resources, one thing to mention is that we have a new scholarship that is specifically for incoming transfer students. And so we just started it this year. So this will be something that we're doing every year. So it's called the Carrie, Ferris, and Jill Stein Scholarship, and it's specifically for incoming transfer students in our department who face real-world challenges, including being first-generation college students, veterans, single parents, among other challenges. So you can, if you have any questions about that, you can feel free to email me after the session, and I can let you know some information on how to apply to that. Other resources that we do in our department is that we have a Sociology Undergraduate Association. And so this is made up of current sociology undergrad students, and they can put on certain study hall events. We have an open house that we put on every year also, and the undergraduate students are completely in charge of that. So we do allow the undergraduate students to put on the certain events that they are interested in. We also will put on events. So myself, Cindy, and the undergraduate vice chair, we would put on an event called the Inside Track series, where we would have, it would be centered on different topics, whatever the students want to talk about. So last year we did tea with TAs. And so we had an event where we just had all the TAs who are current graduate students in our department who can come speak. If you're interested in doing a PhD program in sociology, they talk more about that. We have an event on graduate school internships. We routinely have people from the Career Center come and have events for careers in social sciences. So those are the type of the resources that we have available to students throughout the year. And next year, we're also starting an undergraduate advisory board. So that is just another more of an official board of students where you would meet with our undergraduate committees made up of the faculty members and make decisions on what we want to do with our undergraduate program. So if you have any questions about transferring in sociology, the university would prefer you to use like assist.org or transferology. If you're taking certain courses, you want to make sure they count for our department. But you can also send myself or Cindy an email. So on our website, under the People tab, we have our emails listed there. There's also a requirements for the major section too, so you can see which prep courses we require if you're interested in studying sociology. We have a page on pretty much like what to do with social majors, so we get that question a lot. You can pretty much, you're working with people, you're studying people, you can pretty much do whichever career. But we do have also a department honors program too. So a lot of transfers take advantage of that program. It is a 4-quarter program. So it starts spring of your 3rd year and goes until you graduate, spring of your 4th year, where you start your own research project from scratch and it ends in an honors thesis. I did a similar program when I was a student. So I also graduated from UCLA, but I was a psychology major and education studies minor. I would really suggest looking into doing research. That was one thing that I didn't know that I could do in a life science or physical science major. So that is something that we always push for students. And if you are an incoming social student, we already have you on our email listserv. So we send out all the information, all the newsletters and things like that. So yeah, if you have any questions about the major, let me know, send me an email. You don't have to be a current registered UCLA student to send us emails, especially if you're interested in taking certain classes at a community college and you want to make sure they transfer in.
All right, so we're going to move on to Markeith from UCLA Residential Life / Housing.
Markeith, you're muted.
Okay, I've heard that a number of times over the pandemic. So let's start over again. My name is Markeith Royster. I'm for UCLA Residential Life. I'm so excited to be here, so excited to meet you. Just want to say welcome. Welcome to the opportunities, welcome to the possibilities. And that is all about what UCLA Residential Life is about. It's about a welcome. It's about the idea of coming home. It's about the idea of finding a space where you can be yourself, where you can grow, where you can thrive, where you can connect with other residents and we can connect with other individuals and make sure that UCLA is your home. So a little bit more specifically about UCLA Residential Life, the question might be, how do we do that? How do we make sure that you're at home? How do we make sure that you feel like you're at home? We do that through a number of ways. We do that through communities, living learning communities. So we have a number of specific living learning communities, which include theme floors that are based upon African Americans, African diaspora. There's Latinx theme floors. There's Filipino X theme floors, and then there's also LGBTQ theme floor, and a number of different live and learning communities. Some even focus on like those who might want to go into global health or medicine, those who want to go into technology. We have live and learning communities that specifically created so that individuals who have these identities or these interests can live together, build together, and bond together. UCLA residential housing houses approximately 14,000 individuals on the Hill. The Hill is called the Hill because it's on the hill, actually. So with that, it is where we have dining restaurants. We have the #1 dining facility in America. At least that's what the reports have indicated, right? So the food is actually really good. And it's like its own little town. It's its own little village where you come outside and you'll see life. You'll see people, there's study spaces, there's spaces for you to, we have maker spaces, for places for you to connect with and build. Most recently, we have a Black Brewing Community Center that's located on the Hill, in addition to the Black Resource Center that's located off the Hill, but on the Hill where you'll be living, potentially living, there is a Black space for students to function and get together and meet and study and build after hours as well. UCLA residential housing, we also expand past undergraduate students. We support transfer students, we support graduate students, and we support students with families as well, specifically. So University Apartment South, the area that I specifically work in, our whole goal is to make sure that individuals who come to the university with partners, with dependents, with children who are responsible for their own parents or guardians, there's a space for those individuals as well. So we have apartments that are located approximately 15 minutes away from main campus, where we have a number of activities for children, a number of activities for people who are parents, and those who have partners as well. Because if you have a partner, you might not want to live in a dorm room, right? So we have spaces for those individuals as well. But our whole goal is to make sure that when you come to the university, you feel like you're at home. Like you're not just moving into like four walls. It's like, oh, this is just a dorm or whatever the case may be. But nah, it's a home where we do a number of activities. And a lot of this is pre-COVID, but we had activities which were as simple as like real talk conversations and seminars that talked about what was going on in terms of like politics, as far as life, as far as like, where are you in terms of like your goals and are you getting close to your goals? But then we also had like large scale events where we took students to Westwood to watch movie. We rented out a movie theater and we did that. We also brought like a number of guest speakers onto campus for seminars and programs onto the Hill. So you walk outside of your dorm or your residential hall and you'll meet people, and we have presentations and speakers, game nights, movie nights. It's just a space where you can really feel like you're at home and connect with other individuals. And that is our main goal as UCLA Residential Life.
All right, thank you to all of our presenters. Thank you for being here and sharing all these resources. I hope everyone was able to utilize the chat. All of this information is in the chat. Thank you so much. These resources are invaluable. I honestly, like some of them I wish I knew about coming in, so I hope everyone was able to take some good notes. We're going to be moving on to the closing and raffle.
All right, I'm gonna get that set up. So we did take all the folks who are here, all your names, so that we can enter you into our raffle. But once again, like Sophie said, I wanted to thank all of our Black staff across campus. Thank you for showing up and showing out and providing all the resources and everything for the students and everyone on the call. Like we said earlier in the previous discussion, these are the people you're getting connected to. These are the people that are going to be supporting you. So thank you. Okay, so I don't think I missed anyone. So we're going to do one raffle and I'm gonna spin. All right. So Alexis, congratulations. You are going to be getting some UCLA swag. I believe we're going to be having Kalia DM you and just get some of your information. So like your email and all that, so that we could get connected with you for that. But that is, I believe, the end of our raffle.
Oh, we have one more.
One more? Okay. My apologies. My apologies. I did that yesterday too. Okay, Lachey. So congratulations to you as well. All right, so Lachey and Alexis are our winners for today. You will be DM'd. And again, congratulations. And yeah, okay, let me stop here. All right. Oops. All right, so we just have a couple of announcements to close us out. So we do have a few more webinars that are coming up. So the webinars that we have left are our MPI, which is our Native Pacific Islander webinar. That one is happening tomorrow. First generation, Southeast Asian, non-traditional, undocumented, and our last one, Chicanx Latinx. So if y'all would like to register for one of those, you can scan the QR code or you can go to the tinyurl.com/part-of-the-transfer website and register for one of those upcoming webinars. All right, and then also make sure to stay connected with us. You can join our Black FM cohort GroupMe for the year. We'll be sharing some resources and everything in that cohort, especially for those of you who are the scholars in our program. We're going to be connected with you throughout the year in this GroupMe. So make sure to join. And Sophie just put the link in the chat. So go ahead, download it, scan it, get connected with us. All right, and that concludes today's webinar. We did it. We did that. So thank you so much for being here. I'm actually gonna let if anyone from the committee wants to say any closing remarks or anything, give you some space for that.
I will start us off. I feel like the committee was waiting for me to do that. I feel like they're like, Jules gonna go first. Jules the OG in the room. So I would just like to, first of all, thank all of our students for joining us today, for participating, for engaging, for building community with us. This is always the highlight for me of our summer as a Black transfer student. Not that I don't love all of our other programs, but our Black transfer programs have a special place in my heart because it's the way that I came into the university and came into UCLA and the way I've experienced UCLA and built community particularly. So I am super grateful, and I am so grateful for you all for sharing and building with us, and look forward to the day when you all are at UCLA, at your transfer institutions, wherever it is you want to be. And I just want to remind you all that you will be where you're supposed to be when you are supposed to be there. And so whatever that looks like and whatever your journeys are looking like and will look like, I want to encourage you to stay persistent and stay the course, even when it's challenging and when it's difficult, and know that you have people who are rooting for you, even if you don't see us or know us or have engaged with us in person, and this may be your first opportunity to be with us. You have people who are rooting for you from the sidelines, from the background, we are rooting for you, and we're looking forward to building community with you and building and getting to know you all virtually, in person, in whatever situation that looks like. So we are here to support you. We've said it a number of times today, but we are here to support you and to love on you and to build with you and to encourage and motivate you and to just be a sounding board for you all. And I could go on and on for days, as I mentioned, because this program means so much to me. But thank you all. I want to say thank you to the planning committee. It's been a long couple of months and lots of meetings and lots of missed teams opportunities. And that's an inside joke. But I'm so grateful to you all for doing this and coming on board and doing it in a virtual world, which is not easy. So thank you so much. And my gratitude to each and every one of you, and my gratitude to all of our presenters who have shared space with us and came in and did the thing, right? Done the thing. And so grateful. So thank you all.
Sophie or Kalia, do you want to?
I can go. Yeah, thank y'all for being here. It was great. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna take a huge nap after this. Just gonna pass out. This was really awesome. We had some great presenters. I was a little nervous about the breakout rooms, but all of you brought it. Like coming back to the main room, there was such a great discussion. So that was awesome. Yeah, this means a lot to me as well. And it was really awesome to be a part of it again. So thank you all.
Like everyone else said, thank you guys for coming. I really enjoyed the webinar. It was like also very informative to me as well. So it was really cool. And I really enjoyed Juliet's like speech. Like that was some good tea. I really enjoyed that. And I bet many of you guys did too.
And yeah, I'm sorry. I want to say thank you all so much for being here. It is a Wednesday in the middle of your summer. Some of you probably are in between classes, work, life, responsibilities. So I just want to thank you so much for being here. And I just am really happy that we're able to host you on this webinar and on this day. And also help to empower y'all, because, you know, like in these institutions, in this world, there's so much anti-Blackness. There's so many people telling you that you can't be here. There's so many people telling you that you can't transfer, that you shouldn't transfer to like a specific school, or you should be funneled elsewhere, whatever. But y'all are here. Y'all can transfer you where you want to go to. And I hope that we help you actualize those dreams for you to transfer. And I hope that even beyond that, we help you actualize the dreams that you have just as like a Black student, a Black person in general. I hope that you feel community with us. We love you and we got your back, and we're really excited to be working with all of you. And for those of you who applied to the program and are going to be in the program, scholars in the program, we're so excited to be working with you throughout this year. You might get sick of us. I hope you don't. But yeah, and then also to Zania's comment, I hope we get to see each other in person soon. Like when we were doing STP in person, the residential program, it was fun, y'all. Like we were together, we were in the dorms. There was a lot of stuff that we were doing. It was fun. So I really do hope that we get to see each other and be in community with each other in person. But this was great. This made my week, made all of our weeks. So thank you so much. Thank you to each and every single one of you that are here. You all are so special. We love y'all. So thank you.
I guess that's it. Y'all don't have to leave, but y'all, I know we got things to do, space, room, and opportunity, but thank you all. We will be in touch. For those of you that are scholars, we'll be sending out some emails with some resources and all of the gems that were dropped in the chat. Thank you all for joining us, and be well. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Take care of our people. Be well. Hey, Marquise. Bye, Marquise.